satisfying crunch of a freshly picked cucumber. Can you smell that? Now compare that to a store-bought cucumber, often just a watery, flavourless sponge. What's the difference? The secret is simple, and it's not about chemicals, it's about the right approach. Today, we're going to create your own cucumber paradise, and it doesn't matter where, in a garden, a greenhouse, or, as you'll discover, even on a regular city balcony. Stick around because at the end, I'll reveal 3 common mistakes that cause 9 out of 10 gardeners to lose most of their harvest. You'll be surprised at how easy it is to fix. To really understand cucumbers, you need to know their main secret. At heart, a cucumber is a tropical vine. Remember that because that's where all its needs come from. It loves warmth, drinks water like crazy, and has a serious appetite. It's not used to cold soil or icy drafts. If you give it conditions similar to a warm, humid jungle, it will reward you with an incredible harvest. Understanding this simple truth about its nature is half the battle when it comes to easily growing cucumbers. Alright, so where does any cucumber empire begin? Choosing the right seeds, of course. It's not just about grabbing a pretty packet. It's the bedrock of your entire harvest. And this is the major fork in the road where many beginners stumble. Basically, all cucumbers fall into 2 main categories: bee-pollinated and parthenocarpic, or, simply put, self-pollinating. Let's break down the key difference. Bee-pollinated varieties are the classics. As the name suggests, they need help from insects, bees, bumblebees, to transfer pollen from the male flowers to the female ones to form fruit. They're perfect for open gardens, your backyard patches, where insects have free access. But if you plant this type in a closed greenhouse or on a screened-in balcony, you're in for disappointment. You'll get a lot of pretty yellow flowers, but no cucumbers, simply because the bees can't get in there. Now, parthenocarpic hybrids are real superheroes for greenhouses, cold frames, and even container gardening on balconies. They don't need bees. They set fruit on their own, without pollination. This guarantees a harvest, even in a gloomy summer when insects aren't keen on flying around. So, when you're standing in front of the seed rack, the first thing you need to do is find that magic word on the packet. Either bee-pollinated or parthenocarpic. That one little label is your ticket to success or future bewilderment. Don't ignore it. Okay, so we've got the seeds sorted. But even the best seeds won't produce a crop if you just toss them into unprepared soil. It's like buying a fancy sports car and filling it with cheap gas. Now let's talk about the home for our future cucumbers. The soil. Remember, a cucumber is basically a delicate tropical vine. Its roots are super sensitive and hate pushing through rock-hard clay. They need air to breathe and room to grow. So the soil for cucumbers needs to be like a fluffy cloud, light, loose, and incredibly nutritious. How do you achieve that perfect condition? It's easier than you think. You don't need complicated chemical fertilizers from the store. Your best friend here is organic matter. The simplest and most effective way is to add well-rotted compost or aged manure to your future garden bed. Think of it as an all-you-can-eat buffet for your cucumbers, feeding them all season long. About 1 bucket of compost per square metre of garden bed is enough. Just dig it in really well. If you have heavy, clay-like soil that turns into a swamp after it rains, add some river sand or peat moss. This will make the soil airier and looser. This simple preparation will transform even the saddest soil into a true cucumber paradise, where the roots will feel like they're on vacation. Trust me, they'll definitely thank you for the extra care. Alright, we've got our seeds and set them up in a 5-star hotel, a nice, loose, and nutritious garden bed. Now it's time to talk about the 2 most important things in a cucumber's life: water and food. Here's a popular myth that ruins a lot of harvests. People think that because cucumbers are almost 95% water, you can just drown them. The more the better. That's not quite right. It's not just about how much you water, but how you water. Cucumbers do drink a lot, especially when it's hot and their big leaves are losing moisture. But dousing them with cold water straight from the well or pump is a real shock to their system. Their tropical roots just aren't built for that kind of ice bath. The cold makes them shrink up, and they stop absorbing water and nutrients from the soil, even if there's plenty there. The plant stalls and becomes an easy target for diseases. Rule number 1, always water cucumbers with warm water that's been sitting in the sun. The easiest way is to put a big black barrel in your garden. Fill it up in the morning, and by evening, the water will be warm and ready to use. This simple habit is half the battle when it comes to plant care. And of course, don't forget about food. Cucumbers are real gluttons. They need a lot of nutrients to grow fast and produce a ton of fruit. You should feed them about every 10-14 days. You can use special all-in-one vegetable fertilizers or organic mixtures, like nettle or chicken manure tea. Regular, proper feedings are like a champion's breakfast, giving the plant the energy it needs for new wins. And I mean, new crunchy cucumbers. Okay, so our cucumbers are well fed, watered, and living the good life. It's tempting to just kick back and wait for the harvest, right? But there's one more crucial trick that a lot of people skip, and it's a big mistake. Pruning or training the plant. If you let them do their own thing, your cucumber plants, being natural vines, will spread everywhere, turning your greenhouse or garden bed into a tangled jungle. You might think more greenery means more cucumbers, but actually the plant will waste all its energy growing those massive leaves and side shoots. Those are called suckers. Then it won't have enough juice left for what really matters, forming and plumping up the actual cucumbers. The result? A ton of foliage and just a few sad, misshapen cucumbers. To prevent that, you need to help the plant focus its energy. That's what pruning is all about. Don't worry, it sounds more complicated than it is. The main technique is pinching. Once your main stem has about 5 or 6 true leaves, gently pinch or cut off the top. This tells the plant to stop growing taller and start developing those side shoots. Keep an eye on those side shoots. That's where most varieties produce the bulk of their harvest. The female flowers with the tiny cucumbers attached. Once a side shoot has a few little cucumbers growing, you can pinch off its tip too, to stop it from growing endlessly. It's a surprisingly simple way to train your cucumber plants. Anyone can do it, and it directs all the plant's energy into the fruit instead of the leaves, multiplying your harvest many times over. Okay, as promised, here are the 3 biggest secrets that separate a truly bountiful cucumber harvest from total disappointment. These are the common pitfalls almost all new gardeners stumble into, and after this video, you won't be one of them. First, and most damaging, is watering with cold water straight from the hose or well. For a tropical vine like a cucumber, that's like giving it an ice-cold shower. The roots go into shock and literally stop absorbing nutrients, even if they're plentiful in the soil. The plant stalls and becomes easy prey for diseases, like the nasty root rot. The solution? Super simple. Always water your cucumbers with warm water that's been sitting in the sun. Fill up a barrel or watering cans in the morning and water in the evening. You'll see a huge difference. The second fatal mistake is being greedy when planting. We think that the more plants we cram into a square metre, the more cucumbers we'll get. But it works exactly the opposite. In cramped conditions, the plants start competing fiercely for light, air, and nutrients. And poor ventilation is a direct path to fungal diseases like powdery mildew, which can wipe out your entire crop in a week. Give them space. You're better off with 3 strong, healthy plants, absolutely loaded with fruit, than 10 weak, sickly, and nearly barren ones. And finally, the third thing that stumps so many people is panicking when they see male flowers, those without a tiny cucumber developing behind them. People start pulling them off, thinking they're useless and draining the plant's energy. Plot twist. Actually, without male flowers and their pollen, you won't get any cucumbers at all if you have a bee-pollinated variety. The problem isn't the male flowers themselves, but that female flowers aren't appearing for some reason. And the reason is usually stress, cold nights, lack of nutrients, or not enough light. Don't fight the male flowers. Just make sure the plant is comfortable, and it'll naturally restore the balance, giving you those long-awaited cucumbers with fruit set. So, as you can see, growing that perfect crunchy cucumber isn't rocket science. It's really just about paying attention to the details and understanding the plant's basic needs. A little warmth, the right amount of water, and a bit of TLC, and your own personal cucumber patch will be thriving all summer long. Thanks for watching the whole video. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you did, give us a thumbs up and definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any new videos filled with gardening secrets. And now, a question for you. What are your go-to tricks for growing cucumbers? Or maybe you had a funny mishap that you learned from. Share your story in the comments. Let's chat. Sen.